I think I would not want to have any report that of a trip to Cuba without sharing with people. Many people will remember that I was one of the people that was responsible for taking Elian Gonzalez back to his family in Cuba. That little boy, who was 5 years old when he was found off the coast of Florida and then taken into his uncle's home in Miami. And we will remember very well, since the whole nation really became involved in the struggle of Elian's father to return him to Cuba. He will now be 14 years old, December the 6th, so that's been a while. It was the year I came to Chautauqua, so I always remember that. It was the year 2000, in which we spent a great deal of time. I got involved in it through the National Council of Churches, which I then headed, and the National Council spent a great deal of time trying to help Elian's family so that they could have Elian returned to them. And so every time I go to Cuba, I've gone to visit Elian and his family. And so I've watched him grow from a little 6-year-old to now quite a handsome young man, who will be 14 years old this year and doing extremely well in school. It's always a very teary experience. I've spent 3 hours with Elian and his family, his father, his grandmother, his grandfather, his great-grandmother, his aunts and uncles, his little brother, who was just a baby when they came here to the United States to take him home, and then a new little boy. That is, he was now, I think he's 3 years old. And he came along since they went back. So I felt very, very affirmed in the fact that it was the right decision to take him home. It clearly is in the arms of a loving, caring family, and there's nothing better for a child. I always said governments don't raise children, parents raise children, families raise children. And here's a child that has a very loving, caring family, and it shows. We'll hear from Elian. I do believe he will make his mark in the world, and we'll see what happens to him. He gave me a dozen roses. It was my birthday, and that was a very nice birthday present. We had many, many interviews in Cuba. I'd probably ask everyone, what do you think the future will hold for Cuba and the United States? It's very depressing to see the rather draconian measures that are being put in place now to keep people like myself and Bishop Chain and others from visiting Cuba, and to build the human relationships that are necessary for any nations or for people to build a better world. And my hope for both of our nations is that this blockade will be lifted, and that when a new government comes into place in the United States, that whoever the president is, that president will have the courage to say, we've come to a time now when we need to lift this blockade. We need to end the enemy status of Cuba, and we need to be able to let the families, there are families now that can't visit their own families except once every 3 years in Cuba, and to rebuild the relationship. If you go to Cuba, you will find, as an American, they may have negative things to say about the American government. They have nothing but a love affair with American people. And it's that love affair between the American people and the Cuban people that I think we can, without a great deal of work, we can reinstate. It just takes a brave president to say, finally, yes, we do not need this on our shores. We need to reach out and be the welcoming nation that we were meant to be.